one. Okay. One of the other things we can look at when we're assessing water quality is the presence of microorganisms. There are two issues with that. The first one is the concentration. Typically, there is low levels of bacteria present in a sample of water. So you can't easily do what you did several weeks ago, just take an agar plate, spread some water, and see if any bacteria grow, because most likely you won't be able to detect any. The second issue is you can't look for every single type of bacterium. So instead, what we do is we perform what is known as a fecal coliform test, looking for a specific type of bacterium. That type of bacterium that we're going to look at is for an indicator organism, and our indicator organism is going to be E. coli. So E. coli is defined to be a fecal coliform because it can use lactose as a sugar source, and it can grow at a relatively high temperature, 45 degrees. So if you take a sample of water and you are able to identify E. coli, then most likely you have other types of bacteria in there as well. So that's your indication that there might be bacterial contamination to it. So that addresses the concern of how do I look for every single bacterium. To address the concern of how do you deal with the fact that there's such a low concentration, we use what is known as a membrane filtration device. So here you have a chimney, a chamber, and you have a membrane in between. What you do is you pour in your water, and you turn on a vacuum, and the water is going to be pulled through. On the membrane are little pores, so water is going to be able to pass through those pores from the chimney to the catchment. However, any bacteria that is present in the water is going to be trapped on that membrane. You subsequently take that membrane and you put it onto an agar plate, just like you did several weeks ago. And that agar plate will be incubated for 1 to 2 days at 45 degrees, and then you look for the presence of blue colonies. If you see any blue colonies, that indicates that you have E. coli present, and therefore the water sample is containing any bacteria. Okay? You might see other colors as well, however, we're only interested in the blue colonies that show up. Any questions? You can stop it there. Okay, so to begin, I will turn on my Bunsen burner. Okay. I will then take my chamber here and I will unscrew it. Okay. So this is the chimney portion and this is the catchment vessel. And we'll put these down here. Next, I will take my forceps that are in ethanol, tap off the excess, and pass it once through the flame. Once the flame has gone out and I let it cool for a second, I will then take my membrane. I unwrap my membrane, and with the forceps, place it on top of the catchment chamber. Okay? The forceps can go back in the ethanol, and I will now screw on the chimney as such. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my vacuum and I'm going to plug it in to my chamber here. And then I'm going to take my water source. Okay, so this water is sterile water, so it should not contain any bacteria. This will be my negative control. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open up my container. And I'm going to pour in the water. You're going to be pouring in approximately 100 mils. Depending upon the type of water source that you use different volumes. For our purposes today, we'll stick with 100 mils, and I've already measured it out for you. We close, and then I turn on my vacuum. And what you should start seeing is you should see some of the water now coming through. So any bacteria that would be present, in this case there won't be any because this is sterile, will be caught on that membrane that I placed in the chamber. So we're going to let this run until all the water has passed through. Turn that off. Now I'm going to take my agar plate, okay, so as such, I'm going to open this up, lift, take my forceps, pass it once through the flame. Once the flame has disappeared and you've waited a few seconds, you will carefully pick up that membrane, or that filter, open up the plate, and then gently, grid side up, place that paper onto the agar. Just press gently down, close the plate, flame your forceps, you can turn off the Bunsen burner, put this back in, and then label the plate and put it into the incubator at 45 degrees.